Hi, I'm Spyn, and today we're going to talk about boundaries. Some of you out there need to learn how to set them, and others need to learn how to respect them. Honestly, I shouldn't have to make this video, because most of you out there probably already understand how to be a functional adult with manners. But here we go. One of the first things you absolutely need to learn how to do is to set boundaries with people. And by this, I mean make it clear what is and is not okay in your given relationship with that person. To do this, you're going to need to understand what your limits are, and whether this is financial, physical, or emotional. You need to understand what your limits are going to be. In essence, what are you willing to put up with? This next bit might be a little hard for some of you, but you're going to need to give yourself permission to set these boundaries, and understand that you're not being a dick for setting them. This can be a real hurdle for some people in this process, but it is going to be necessary for your mental well-being. This is why it is so important for you to understand what is and is not okay in order to set these boundaries with people in your life. The next thing you're going to need to do is to be assertive about this. For the vast majority of people, this is not going to be terribly taxing. Most people, you won't even have to have this conversation with. However, for the ones that you have to have this conversation with, remember this isn't about being aggressive or mean-spirited. This is about being assertive to what you need in order to feel comfortable in whichever type of relationship you're setting these boundaries to. Next, I would advise that everyone learn to say no to people. This one is very difficult to do because most people want to help other people. Whether that's volunteering our time, our expertise, or our financial support, people naturally want to help other people. But as we talked about before, there are limits, and because of this, we should understand why it is necessary to say no from time to time in order to help establish those boundaries. Otherwise, people are going to take advantage of this, and you never want to be the person that just says yes to everything that they ask you for. So with all of that said, when and why should you set boundaries? So let's begin by tackling the first aspect of this question. For the most part, most of us generally understand where boundaries lie with other people. It's almost instinctual. For example, you wouldn't constantly impose upon your friends for dinner, like every night, obsessively, until they start contemplating poisoning your food to make you go away, possibly for good. But some people don't fully understand what is and is not appropriate behavior in regards to pushing the boundaries of other people. If you find yourself with such a person, it's going to be important that you quickly and firmly set your boundaries and make sure the other person fully understands them. In effect, anytime you find yourself in a situation that makes you feel uncomfortable, you will need to begin to analyze whether or not your boundaries are being pushed, and then take appropriate steps to solve the problem. Knowing exactly when this is happening is going to be key to all of this. For this, you're just going to need to remember what we talked about before, which is just understanding your limits. This should give you some understanding as to when to set these boundaries. Now let's talk about the why. The why is a lot more simplistic and a lot more obvious. The reason that you need to set boundaries is for your own mental, physical, and sometimes financial well-being. Not doing so when you absolutely know you should can lead you to feel used, and from this it's going to be very easy for resentment to grow towards that other person. Finally, I'd like to talk to all of you about the repercussions that can and should happen should somebody overstep your boundaries. A lot of people set these boundaries, but when those boundaries are crossed, absolutely nothing happens, which effectively makes those boundaries pointless. There absolutely needs to be punitive measures in place to make sure that people take these boundaries seriously. It is vital, however, that you explain what these repercussions will be to the other party involved, as it's not really fair to them not to explain that, just as it would be unfair not to explain your boundaries to the other person. The most commonly used punitive measure towards people that continuously violate your boundaries is just to simply cut them off completely. This is on the whole fairly simple. You just remove contact from the offending party. Now, this may be permanent or semi-permanent depending on how many times this person has continuously violated your limits. I'm not telling any of you to set your boundaries up and then the first time somebody crosses the line, you just shoot them in the face. You have to be reasonable about this. As they say, the punishment has to fit the crime. In effect, largely, these repercussions are going to be ultimately left up to all of you to decide what they're going to be. I mean, if you keep lending somebody money and they keep not paying you back, or telling you that they'll hit you back later, or you're always paying for meals and then nobody else even offers, maybe don't give money to those people and don't go eat with those people. For the most part, all of this is really going to be on you guys to follow through with. If you constantly tell people that there's going to be punishments for something that they do and you never meet that punishment out, then they're going to learn that there's no consequences for their actions. And at some level, that's your fault. So remember to follow through with what you say you're going to do. But if you do have to do this, make sure that you tell the other person why this is happening, so that they fully understand that they have done something that has overstepped. And this is the course of action that you are taking because of this. This will not only reinforce to them that they have done something wrong, but it will also give them the opportunity to examine the offense and work on it. Giving them this opportunity to grow as a person, not just punish and silence. Remember, everybody makes mistakes, and everyone is capable of growing and learning from those mistakes. This could be a teachable opportunity. Make it so. Well, that's going to be about it for this week's video. Thank you guys so much as always for watching. I hope you guys learned something. I hope you're able to set your own boundaries, and I hope you're able to follow through with them. I think that you'll be much happier people if you're able to set reasonable boundaries and enforce them. Trust me guys, not doing this, it can really hurt you, mentally, physically, and definitely financially. As always guys, your support means the absolute world. If you haven't already subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit the bell as well. That way you get updated on new content that we produce every week for you guys. And also our live streams, which we do kind of infrequently, but definitely we try to get one in on Friday at the very least, if we can, time allowing, obviously. Discord links in the description down below, along with all my other social media stuff. So follow me on Twitter and all that stuff, things, whatever it is that you want to follow me on. I'm on a lot of things. Go do it. Also, tell me what you think down in the comments down below. What are some boundaries that you have with other people? What's some times that people pushed your boundaries, and what did you do about it? I want to hear about it down in the comments below. Trust me, I read everything. They chain me to a chair and they make me read it. Please send help. As always, guys, I have some words to leave you with. The only people that get upset with you about setting boundaries are the ones that were benefiting from you having none. Bye.